Hello there, Seraphim 17 once again. This is my Quantum Break hard difficulty walkthrough. We're in Act 4 Part 1, and I'm having difficulties jumping on this roof. This is Port Donnelly Bridge, which, if you remember the footage that they showed much earlier in the dev cycle for this game, you'll remember this iconic part of the game, because it's the area where the boat crashes through the bridge, and then it sends everything all crazy, and we're going to do some interesting platforming. But exposition and storytelling is really the major call of this game. The shooting is just kind of the exclamation marks at the end of each sentence. So there's going to be a lot of us moving around in the environment. There's going to be a lot of us, time spent essentially just existing inside of these wonderfully detailed areas which are just screaming for a firefight or some kind of engagement, and a lot of the times they don't receive that treatment, which is kind of interesting as a choice, but it's also just staggeringly beautiful to see the kind of detail that Remedy puts into their games, and it's one of the reasons that I'm such a big fan of them. And I truly do adore this dev company, even if, for instance, in Quantum Break's regards, they've made a game that I find quite puzzling, and such a massive potential that went a different way than I was expecting. And somebody left a comment on one of the earlier parts of the guide, and they were asking whether or not this is the episodic, massive scale thing that they mentioned that it would be, and I can't remember it being said it was going to be episodic, but I believe this guy, because it sounds like that's something that would get said, and it makes me wonder just how different that game would have been to this one. But we are in Stutter, which means we're taking on a striker squadron, which means it's going to get really fun, because these guys are super tough in the grand scheme of this game, which is to say they're pretty fucking easy, but they're still very fun to fight, as I end the fight just there with 2 moves, which is preposterous, but it happens, you know. There's a good strategy. Use your time blast on the middle guys, kill him, and as you push forward here, you're going to trip another spawn, and it's going to be more striker units. So you'll notice I have the light machine gun on, which is a killer of men. Fantastic tool to get this job done, and I'm going to be using time vision to see where they are, and we're going to be isolating and putting them down. But I was thinking too, with the striker units, it seems like there would have been perhaps a good idea to have different kinds of this particular unit, not just the ones with the subs or the assault rifles. I think they're using the vectors, the triple shot vectors. There could have been one guy who had a shotgun, you know, a shotgun unit in the striker team, and if he dodges close to you, you better react quickly and put him down or you're dead. You know, they could have had a unit that's entire purpose was to shoot you with some kind of tracer gun that stops you from being able to use your abilities, a dampener flare gun or something, anything. Just the one guy you have to take out first in all of the striker encounters is the guy, or guys, it could be more than one, who neutralizes your ability by dampening you so that his buddies can come in and gangbang you. And it could have even led to the rest of the team being more aggressive when your powers were off. You know, there was so many ways they could have gone with this, and they kind of just stuck to their guns and played it very safe. And I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this game, and I've currently not been reading my comments too frequently, which is a bit annoying, because I've been making so many videos, you know. I've got to focus on priorities, and unfortunately comments haven't been one of them at the moment, so I'm sitting on like 100 comments waiting to be read, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people are feeling about the playthrough for Dark Souls, and what they're feeling about this game, and it'll be interesting just to see your perspective, because it's very isolated where I am, you know, in this bubble of making content. I don't really know how everyone else is feeling about the game, so it'll be interesting just to see if there is some diversity to that. But this is heavy again, and he has backup this time inside a Stutter, which is a handful of these augmented troops of part of a striker squad. So my advice here, get really aggressive on these dudes, put them all down as quick as possible, and then you can fight the heavy one-on-one. Get that honor duel in. And right now it looked kind of dangerous what I did, but I managed to pull it back by using things like the time bubble to shield myself, and just by understanding how the game works, which is to say that you are way more powerful than you think you are, even on a hardest difficulty. We really should be the final boss because of how skilled we are, and I'm going to come over here and try and reload the SMG, the light machine gun, and you'll notice I try and put it on now. Doesn't put it on, doesn't reload the LMG. I'm like, what? Is that balance? And you see tactical SMG ammo, but no LMG. So I swapped to the shotgun, and I'm going to freeze this guy, I'm going to time sprint behind him, and I'm going to put a shell in his back. It hurts me because of the residual explosion. Maybe he boomer turned in that, I don't know. But it will not be enough to kill you. What I like to do is I like to throw out a time shield just in case to give him an extra stun and give me the regen. And then we're just going to wait for the regeneration of the time run ability. So freeze him, time run, and then put him down with the shotgun. And I believe he's dead. Is that really how a sub-boss should be? I don't know. I love the fact that he has a weakness that's that glaring, but I don't think I should have been able to kill him with such ease. You know, I don't fear the heavies in this game. You should always fear the heavies. The point of the heavies is to be feared and to put pressure on the player. And there are heavies in certain games that I will never forget because of how much fear they instilled in me. A great example is Fear, the first-person shooter, you know, the first encounter, adventure, reconnaissance, or whatever they bloody called that silly unit. The heavies in that had stake guns that could pin you to the wall. And if you played that game on, I think it was extreme, wasn't it, the hardest difficulty? That game was really hard. And those heavies turned up, they took a beating, and they gave a beating. And every single encounter was nerve-wracking, nail-biting. You see that? How wonky was that? I love the fact I survived and kept that in the guide. This killed me too, this thing. This is one of the hardest enemies in the game. I'll give him his props. That's all you have to do to get past him, though. He's not that mobile. But look at this moment. This is the area where there should have been combat, in my opinion. Can you imagine precarious platforming time dodging? It'd be straight up Bioshock Infinite sky rails, but it's just not something they focused on. It's so very binary in what it does. You're either fighting or you're not. It's never the two, you know, mixing place. Can't have that exposition and that craziness in the fight. Can't have that, you know, fight in the dialogue. I don't know. It's
The route down wasn't exactly user-friendly.
like this game is so refined and polished in the way that Remedy makes games that I feel like the majority of the effort in it went towards the story and the look of the game, because the look has so many like post-processing effects happening at once. Look at the screen, guys. It's just nuts how much is happening here, how all these different elements behind the scenes are working together to give us this cohesive image. And it's a beautiful image. And on PC, it might be 60 frames per second, which is even more beautiful, so check that out. But thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next videos. You take care now.